We're here in Florence talking about the timeless values of scouting. Stay tuned to Carolina People coming up next. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in Florence, South Carolina, at the Service Center for the PD Area Council of the Boy Scouts. We're focused on many of the council's current activities, and we're visiting with one of its executive board members, Reuben Hewitt, a personal banker with First Reliance Bank here in Florence. Good morning, Reuben.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Glad to be here.
Incredible opportunity all week to highlight so many of the executive board members that have committed so much of their time to really making the PD Area Council of the Boy Scouts a great success.
Sure, we appreciate your efforts.
11 county council here, 11 county district. To think about all this area to bring the council together under a common bond is a big deal, and you're really involved in particular with the, I believe, Attaqua district.
That's correct.
Which is one of the four.
Right. It consists of Florence, Williamsburg, and Dillon counties.
Okay. Florence, Williamsburg, and Dillon counties.
Right. That's about 82 different troops that are involved in that, so it's quite a responsibility.
Golly, Reuben, that is a big responsibility. Do you travel around a good bit within those three counties? Obviously, you're a volunteer.
Right. We are getting to that point now where I'm going to try to go and visit with some of the different troops at different times, but I do show up for things like our fireside chats or our Scoutmaster roundtables so I can meet them in a close-knit forum.
Great. That's exciting. Real quick about yourself, Reuben. Are you originally from the area?
Yes, sir. Born and raised here in Florence. I grew up on Hoffmeyer Road, right here in Florence. All my family's here local, too. You
still have family here in the area?
Oh, yeah. All my family's right here close to home.
When did you first join Reliance Bank?
May of 1999 was when I joined on, and the bank actually opened in August of that same year.
So you joined a few months before they opened?
Right. Try to get everything ready for the grand opening.
That's exciting. Well, I remember popping in and seeing you on one occasion, and you were very enlightening and trying to help me through a little problem we were thinking about within the TV station. It was exciting to see. I could tell it would be successful going forward.
Right.
What about, can you tell the viewers a little bit about First Reliance Bank, some viewers on the Strand or throughout the PD even, or in southeastern North Carolina who may not be familiar with First Reliance Bank?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. Our bank opened May of '99 to start to offer a true community service bank to the local Florence area. We had a community bank here in town that was purchased by a larger bank, and our customers were requesting that we form a bank and be able to provide those same services to our community. We've been very well received in Florence. A lot of our initial customer base flowed over. Our stockholders are all also from Florence, the majority of them in and around Florence area. Some down at the coast of South Carolina. But all of our stockholders are South Carolinians.
That's exciting.
Sure.
Well, what do you think was the primary difference between First Reliance Bank and any other large banking institutions locally was?
The primary difference is our commitment to excellent customer service. I think the modern technology enables a small bank like ours to offer all the bells and whistles services that the big banks have, except we offer it with a true commitment to our customers. We want them to feel welcome when they come in. We try to meet them by their name. We operate in what I call the gray area between the black and white a lot of times because everyone's life scenarios are different and nobody fits a perfect set of rules. So we definitely customize our services to the tailored needs of our customers.
Great. Reuben, what were you doing before joining First Reliance Bank in May of '99?
Sure. I've been in banking for 12 years.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I went from a larger bank down to the community service bank.
And do you think the fact that you're locally owned and operated has had some significance for many of those folks?
Very much so, very much so. When all things are equal, the money that our depositors put into our bank is spent in loans that go back into our community. So customers like the fact that our money is spent here in Florence and not spent abroad.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You know, I think about that as a local owner-operator of the TV station when I think about my competitors who's getting the money here in town and then sending it up to Richmond or out to Maine as opposed to reinvesting in the community. It makes a big difference.
That's right.
And I think it's helped a lot for stations, and I'm glad that helps a lot for you all.
It does.
That's exciting. And your clients are primarily local folks?
Most of them are local, yes. We're having 2 branches in Florence. It does kind of keep our customer base here right at home.
And this will be y'all's 4th year.
That's right. Going into our 4th year of operation.
how are you measuring up against some of the older Florence institutions now, Reuben?
Well, we're actually the fourth largest bank in Florence at this time.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and that includes the big ones. So we've done real well, and we owe that success to the customers and loyal customers of Florence.
That is fantastic. Well, obviously, our focus all week has been on the Boy Scouts, but
Sure.
since y'all are such an upstart and recognized now in the top four here in the community, in the PD area, that's in Florence, that's fantastic.
Right. We just received recognition to be top 25 in the state as well, so we are growing by leaps and bounds.
You're a top 25, that's in assets.
Top 25 new startup business in the state of South Carolina, yes.
That is fantastic, Reuben. Well, what about your involvement in scouting? Had you grown up in the PD Area Council?
Yes, I started in scouting when I was 11, stayed in scouting until age 18. I became an assistant scoutmaster at 18 and did that until 1992 when my former scoutmaster decided to retire, and I took over the troop and was scoutmaster from 92 until 1998.
Okay.
I got out of scouting for the commitment that it would take to start up the bank, and now that the bank is open and running, I got back involved with the PD Area Council last year.
That's exciting. Did you grow up attending Camp Coker?
Sure did. I love Camp Coker. It's like a piece of me when I go back up there.
Yeah. What's that like now? And you've been back since. I mean, you obviously went up as a youth as a camper.
Right.
And I guess when you go back even now, it feels like you're a camper, even though you're in an advisory role. But what's that like? Let's talk about what it's like for viewers who may have never experienced Camp Coker, don't know anything about scouting.
Sure.
A, let's talk about first what it's like going up as a camper, and then B, what it's like for you going up as a father or as a local leader or any other capacity.
Sure. As a boy, it seemed like a vacation away from the real world. It's kind of isolated out Society Hill. It's on a southern pines sort of sand hills area. It's got a beautiful lake there, Lake Westwood, where we can do canoeing and kayaking. It's got a nice waterfront. It's just a very naturalistic area. We camp in tents that are canvas cabin-style tents that are raised off the ground. You do have a wooden platform and a couple of Army cots to sleep on, so it's a challenge. It's fun. You're away from home for a week. You get to visit with your parents on Wednesdays when they come to camp to see how you're doing. It's educational as well. There are merit badge classes where you can enhance your skills as a scout. I really loved it every year. Look forward to it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, now what about going back as a leader or as an advisor?
I see a lot of changes. Of course, now you look more of the week up there is a hot experience 9 times out of 10, and so you miss some of the comforts of home. But the excitement now is in seeing that same excitement in the boys when I do visit up there. I have a lot of fond memories I share with them. I try to teach them when I can. It's a very rewarding experience to know that I'm giving back to an organization like Scouting that helped me when I was an up-and-coming teenager.
And obviously you said you'd stepped away in 98 to help get the bank started, or after 98 to help get it started, and knew that was going to be a huge commitment. Yet the bank's thumping along and obviously doing very, very well.
Right.
And has the bank been supportive of you getting back into involvement with the Boy Scouts?
They've been very much supportive. As a matter of fact, I sat down with the president of our bank, Rick Saunders, and asked him what kind of commitment he was willing to show and support me. And Jim Head and I discussed the fact that it would take about 15 to 20 hours a month of additional volunteer time to make it happen. And he said that he would allow me that time and give me all the support he could because he too believes that Scouting is a wonderful organization.
Great. Rick Saunders has done that, the president of y'all's bank.
That's right.
That's fantastic. That is a great commitment. And that has, if there was anything in particular that prompted you knew there were some other, a heck of a lot of local charities who would probably love to have somebody like you involved in helping them grow. How did you determine that the Boy Scouts, knowing you had such an incredible youthful experience there, but how did you determine the Boy Scouts was the place you were going to step back into in a big volunteer role?
I knew that whatever I got involved in, it needed to be something I cared a lot about, and I do have a burning desire to help Scouting. I also knew that being involved in a bank that's growing as fast as we are, that commitment would require time, and so I wanted to focus the time that I did have in what I view as the most important area, and that is the Boy Scouts.
Great. What benefits do you think a young man gains directly from their involvement in Scouting? And obviously now we have young women in the venturing the 14 to 21, but let's focus real quick on the boys, on the young men. Actually, you can talk about both of them.
Okay. I think young people in general benefit from Scouting. Primarily, it teaches good morals. good ethical values and decision making. Leadership skills are taught. Boy Scout troops are divided up into patrols where boys take turns being the leader of their patrol. And about every 6 months, those roles are rotated. So each boy gets an opportunity to lead. Each boy also has to understand how to be a part of a team to accomplish a mutual goal. So I think those are very important skills for any young person to learn. Leadership and teamwork is very important.
Absolutely. And as chairman of the Attaqua district, that's, you said, a 3-county district.
That's correct.
What are the responsibilities in your position as chairman?
Primarily, one of our primary focuses right now is Friends of Scouting campaign, where we actually have to raise money to help support the council budget. 37% of our budget comes from direct donations from individuals and business owners. The other is to create a commissioner corps, which is a communication process between the council itself and those individual 82 units that are in the district. Has tended in the past to have been a thought process of it's us against them, because the scoutmasters don't see and feel the council support as much as they need to, and it's because of a breakdown in communication. So we're forming that commissioner corps to enhance and improve that communication.
So the Commissioner Corps and Friends of Scouting, when you think of those two or any other responsibilities you have in that chairman's position, are there challenges that you recognize to fulfilling your goals, or can you think of some of the most recognized challenges that are upon you?
One of the biggest challenges is to create subcommittees to help me with all the tasks that are involved to accomplish those goals. Trying to find good qualified people who understand and care about scouting, who also have a good business sense that can offer their contacts and their skills to scouting, is the biggest challenge.
Reuben, why do you think the community needs to support the Boy Scouts?
I think that scouting is one of the single most important organizations that helps young people determine where they want to go in life, how they're going to get there, teaches them good morals and good values, and I think that in today's world those things are important more than ever, and that's why I think scouting is so important.
We're visiting with a man whose company allowed him to spend and commit 15 to 20 hours a week giving back. A man who's obviously recognized the value of scouting to him as a youth and now as a leader. Reuben Hewitt, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Greg. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're in Florence at the Service Center for the PD Area Council of the Boy Scouts. We're focused on many of the council's current activities as well as some of its new executive board members. And we're visiting with one of those, Peter L. Mulford, the CEO of Marion Regional Healthcare System. Good morning, Peter. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here today.
Incredible opportunity all week to highlight some of the new executive board members and to think of so many of the activities happening within the council right now.
Right.
So much is going on in this 11-county council, and Marion County has a heck of a lot to do with that.
Well, it really does, and I'm excited that you're focusing really not on us, but what scouting is looking to do and continue to do better in the whole PD council.
Yes, very definitely. Can we talk real quick about yourself, Peter? Are you originally from the area?
No, actually, I grew up in Rochester, New York. All of my boyhood life was there. After college and military and graduate school, my first job actually was in Greenville, South Carolina, and started with the Greenville Hospital System, and through a successive number of years and positions, found my way, luckily, back to South Carolina about a year and a half ago.
And do you have family here in the area?
Actually, I was fortunate enough to marry a young lady from Hartsville.
Oh, great.
So that certainly was a good motivation to come back, and many of her family are still here in South Carolina.
That's fantastic. Well, it's amazing to be able to get back, as you say, back to South Carolina on your own, but the opportunity to get back to the PD, where your wife, she grew up in Hartsville?
She did grow up in Hartsville, yes.
That's wonderful. Are many of her family still in that area?
Still has brothers and sisters-in-law there, as well as Columbia Union. So we're invested in South Carolina.
Very definitely. What prompted you to pursue a career in the healthcare industry?
Probably actually was very serendipity. I actually, even though I started my probably first job as a male aide or an orderly in a hospital as a teenager, it really wasn't until after my service experience in the military flying medical evacuation helicopters that I was fortunate to have a mentor in the military that said, why don't you think about healthcare administration? And so again, due to a mentorship, which is certainly tied back to what we would like to do for scouting as well, I found a career in hospital administration and went back to graduate school, and then, as I say, the rest is history.
And that is the normal track that someone would take. There's graduate school for hospital administration?
Absolutely. Okay. There's probably by now 30 programs across the country. A very good one at the Medical University of South Carolina, as a matter of fact. And so most of us now, even entry-level positions in healthcare administration, must have at least a master's degree.
Peter, when you were a hospital orderly, did you ever dream that possibly you'd be the chief executive officer for a major?
Never did back in those days, and I certainly talk with all of our staff now to try and encourage our orderlies and nursing assistants and environmental staff as well as nurses that's in their career path if they want it to be. In those days, you pretty much know the nurses on your unit, and back then they called them the superintendent of nursing. So a lot has changed, and I think we actually have a much better connection with all of our workforce now than probably when I started.
Let's talk about that workforce and the healthcare system, the Marion Regional Healthcare System. You came to your position as their chief executive officer how long ago?
About a year and a half ago. Moved here from West Virginia.
Right.
And moved from a system very similar in size with as we would call it, a flagship hospital facility. And then in addition, our healthcare system has a nursing facility and several physicians' practices. We run 3 daycare programs for our staff as well as the general community. So we're quite a diversified organization.
Wow, yeah. 3 daycare programs.
That's right.
That is a big commitment.
Right. And it makes a big difference for our staff as well, obviously.
And how many folks did you say were on staff, Peter?
If you look at probably our total employee staff, it's right around 750 individuals. Then all of the affiliated medical staff, volunteers, chaplains, take us up well over 850 to 900 people and primarily in the Marion community and Marion County area.
I was going to ask you that. Can you tell us about the kind of services that you provide to the community, and what is your primary community? Is it almost exclusively Marion County, or is it?
I would say actually probably only about 65% of our market, so to speak, is Marion County alone. We're very successful in drawing in people from Latta, Aner, Lakeview, Dillon, towards Florence, towards Conway. But of course, Marion County is our primary focus in the region.
And some of the services that you all provide, do you all provide virtually everything, or is
we are what you would call a general community hospital facility. We have our medicine, surgical subspecialties. We have pediatrics, OBGYN, actually probably one of the largest complement of OBGYN physicians, size for size, in a community like ours across the state. We certainly have 24-hour emergency care. All of our emergency physicians within the last year or so have become board certified, and so emergency care and primary care actually through the emergency room is also a very big component of our service.
Peter, did I see something recently about a new digital mammography facility?
You sure did.
I don't even know if I could spell that, but it seems like I saw something about that recently.
We just broke the news on that about a week and a half ago. In fact, we're told by GE Medical Systems that we're the first provider of that service now actually east of Greenville. There are probably many other hospitals and medical centers getting ready to do it. But it moves us into, if you will, the highest technology capability within mammography services, which is obviously of critical importance to the women of the region.
And there have been some critical changes in the technological developments throughout the community.
Yeah, just about everything we're doing in our hospital now, including getting ready to go to what they call an electronic medical record, requires a very integrated information technology system. A lot of even entry-level people now in healthcare have to be able to be computer literate and be able to pick up the necessary skills to work in the digital information age.
Obviously, our focus this week is on the Boy Scouts.
I hope so.
But at the same time, we have Carolina People has done a dramatic focus over since our inception last year on the American Heart Association, and so much activity for the Heart Walk. You get back-to-back weeks on the Heart Ball, either the Florence or the Waccamaw Division's Heart Ball coming up. When I think through all of the cardiac disease in our region and the heavy incidence of cardiac disease within the PD and along the Strand and throughout South Carolina, is Marion Regional Healthcare System doing something to battle cardiac disease in the region?
I think probably the most important thing we're trying to do, and certainly we do that a lot through our medical staff and their offices, people that are in our hospital as health educators, hopefully even before it gets to needing acute services, really is on the prevention education side. We certainly have board-certified cardiologists that are on our consulting medical staff. As a hospital facility, we provide all of the non-invasive types of diagnostic capability to detect and discover heart disease. We have a very aggressive program in our emergency department to try to prevent further damage of cardiac patients as they would be coming in the doors of the emergency department with a heart attack in process. And then again, very good relationships with all of the regional hospitals that are larger than we are that might do the cardiac catheterization or bypass surgery. So we see ourselves as hopefully the preventers and the first response teams. And then on the back end, the rehabilitation, we have an outstanding cardiac rehabilitation program within our system.
Probably the most important thing you said was obviously getting it nipped in the bud in an early stage.
Absolutely.
The prevention advisors and counselors.
So critical, and I think particularly in the PD, because the PD area mirrors a lot of the general health status of South Carolina, which it's unfortunately not very good in compared with the nation. I think we're 48th now in the nation. So we are taking an ever-expanding role, both within what we do for acute care, but more importantly in the schools and civic and community groups on all of the different indicators of health status and trying to improve them.
Peter, how does Marion Regional Healthcare System work with the Boy Scout organization?
Well, actually, shortly after I got here, I had been involved in scouting back in West Virginia and had always been a supporter, actually, as a scout growing up. And one thing we did not have in Marion that I was very interested in and frankly got a lot of support from our staff that I would say do most of the work, is setting up what's called an Explorer post in our healthcare system. So about a year and a half ago, we started a Scout Explorer program, and that frankly was so successful in helping young people, high school age, become interested in healthcare careers that we've now moved that again through support of many of my staff members into one of our middle schools. And we actually have a Junior Explorer program. While it's not sanctioned by Scouts per se, it is a similar program in terms of interesting young people in not only their own personal motivation and advancement, but healthcare careers as a potential.
Great. That's exciting.
So we've been really excited. I think all of the high school students that passed our program last year, I think there was only one that had a preconception of a healthcare career, and now they all do. And so it'll be important that we in scouting help continue motivating them through the years to finish their high school education, move on to either technical or university level.
And whether the children are at middle school or high school or getting involved in healthcare as a profession, just that opportunity to have been able to explore it.
Right. Well, as you know, Greg, years and years ago, you would follow your mother into nursing or your doctor into medicine. And that changed with, again, computers and manufacturing and other things in the last 20 years. So we're hoping that we can revitalize that interest at a younger level to pursue healthcare. It is probably the fastest growing occupational variety of careers a young person could look at today.
And in your youth, obviously being involved in Boy Scouts and now recognizing the importance of that, why do you think it's important for the community to get involved in supporting the Boy Scouts?
I think to me, bottom line would be that scouting and frankly Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, anything with youth, but I'll say particularly Boy Scouting in this case, really tries to develop within young people, it doesn't matter who they are, all young people, some traditions and some values and some beliefs, frankly, that they can achieve success in life. And as you go from the Tiger Cubs through the Boy Scouts, through the Explorer program, hopefully become an Eagle Scout, it's just a part of what scouting is all about, that it instills the values and beliefs in young people to be able to succeed. And I think that's proven out in national studies, the Gallup poll, and other things that say there's very few scouters that are in jail. There's very few scouters that don't succeed somehow in fulfillment of their life's interests. So, knowing that the future of our country is based now on the developing youth in our country, there's a very natural fit between scouting and our youth and the future of this country.
You heard Peter Mulford say it. There's a very natural fit between scouting and our youth and the future of our country. As CEO of Marion Regional Healthcare System, he's recognizing that commitment in setting up not only a first Explorer post there, but now a second in the middle schools. Peter, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Pleasure to be with you. Thank you again for this program.
Thank you. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Jim Head and all the staff and volunteers of the Petey Area Council of the Boy Scouts for making this week of Carolina People such a great success.